Well, that's up to the parent. I call that parenting 101. It's up to the parent what they want to do. That's their child. But the bottom line is having a child in this country does not make you immune from our laws.
Tom Homan doesn't hold back when CNN host Caitlin Collins questions him on Trump's immigration enforcement plans.
On this effort overall, in terms of what you believe you need, and you're obviously deeply familiar with how this works and what's ahead of you, you had previously said about $86 billion was the minimum this project will cost. Do you have a better estimate now as you've been developing your plan?
He used this opportunity to clarify misconceptions about the funding.
I never said $86 billion. That was a CNN reporter that said $86 billion. I don't know what that number is right now. Again, we're working on the plan. Again, it depends on how many resources I have and what the cost is going to be. But I'll say this, $86 billion, I mean, what price you put on the young women that have been murdered and raped in this country? What price you put on, the lives of all these little girls that, there's numerous cases.
He is prioritizing the problems that illegal immigration has caused.
Well, and to be clear, I understand you'll be making that argument about why you need this money to Congress. I was just curious how much you're guessing it'll cost, because obviously, as you noted, it's going to be expensive. You're going to have to ask Congress for that money. I believe you had told Fox Business $86 billion was the estimate.
She kept pushing him about the estimate, but he had to shut her down.
$86 billion at a minimum, I said. That's a minimum.
Okay, I was just quoting you. I just want to make sure that we're clear that I was quoting you correctly on what the baseline of that was. But I think in the question...
You were quoting me directly. You were quoting me directly. There was also a question that was asked by a CNN reporter.
He also addresses the tricky situation of families with U.S.-born children.
What is your ultimate number of that deportation that you would like to see when you're done with your job?
I don't have a number. We want to arrest as many people as we can that are in the country illegally, again, based on prioritization. We want to arrest every criminal, every gang member that's here illegally, that's a public safety threat. We want to arrest every fugitive, those who had due process at great taxpayer expense and have an ordered deportation but didn't leave and became a fugitive. We got over 1.5 million of those.
It's about ensuring the law is applied equally and focusing on people who threaten public safety.
As you know, there's a lot of mixed status households in the United States. Do you plan to take both parents into custody if there are minor children in the house?
If you're in the country illegally and you got ordered deportation, we're going to arrest you, we're going to detain you, we're going to remove you. If they have a U.S. citizen child, if they chose after they come to the country illegally and chose after been ordered removed to have a U.S. citizen child.
He gave a clear answer. The goal is to protect the legal system while making sure the kids have care options.
Would the kids go, if both parents, though, are deported, would you put the children in foster care if there's not a relative, child protective services? What does that look like?
As having a child in this country does not make you immune from our laws. If that's the message we send the rest of the world, you're never going to solve the best courses.
What would you be asking ICE agents to do in that scenario?
To arrest and deport people who are ordered to remove by a federal judge. That's what they're going to do.
They also discussed how it will affect businesses.
The other question that I've heard so much about this is the massive impact that these large removals could have on the construction or agriculture or hospitality industry. Is that something that you're keeping in mind as you're making these plans?
Yeah, that'd be part of the prioritization, but let's remember it's illegal to hire.
He points out a hidden issue with illegal employment and how it gives people the right to take advantage of workers.
Undercuts wages. People hire an illegal alien for a couple of reasons. Number one, they can work them harder, pay them less, and undercut their competition who has U.S. citizen employees. It's against the law to hire an illegal alien, and we'll be enforcing that law too because worksite enforcement is coming back. Where do I find most victims of trafficking, sex trafficking, and forced labor? At work sites. And this administration stopped that.
He wants to protect workers and make things fair for businesses that follow the rules. It's not just about punishment, but also about preventing vulnerable people from being exploited, which makes a lot of sense.
The other question I had for you is that the president-elect said recently that he believes still, not a new position for him, but he believes that birthright citizenship must end. Obviously, that is no easy feat, given it is enshrined in the Constitution.
I don't think it's enshrined in the Constitution at all, not the way I read it. But then again, I'm not a constitutional scholar. We'll let the courts decide that on the birthright citizenship. I'll say this. It's a major driver, a major magnet for illegal immigration.
When there is a gap in the system, people will exploit it. and that will lead to more issues.
And under this administration, you got a record number of illegal aliens have dying crossing the border. You got a record number of Americans dying from fentanyl coming across that border. You got a 600% increase in sex trafficking. So we got to stop these magnets. We got to stop rewarding illegal behavior, because that's exactly what we're doing.
He also explained what mass deportation would look like.
Do you have any red lines of where you do not want to go to carry out the pledge to deport mass amounts of people?
But look, we're going to build detention facilities because, again, this is a massive deportation operation. Let me explain why it's a massive deportation operation. Millions of people enter this country illegally, claiming asylum. Secretary Mayorkas has said under oath numerous times, for those who don't qualify for asylum, they'd be immediately moved. Of course, he didn't do it, so we're going to do it.
He explains that the operation will need a lot of resources, especially space to hold people while they're being deported. This is part of his plan to keep things organized and efficient.
But people need to understand, the people come to the border to claim asylum, based on immigration court data over the last decade, 9 out of 10, nearly 9 out of 10 people claim asylum will get an order removal. So when they lose that case, we'll give them the due process. They can make an asylum claim. We'll take them to a judge. But when a judge says they're leaving, they have to leave, because if we don't, like I said, then what the hell are we doing? Just shut down immigration court doesn't mean anything more, and take the border patrol off the border because there's no consequences.
He clarifies that the process will be fair, with everyone getting their day in court. But he stresses that once a judge rules against someone, deportation will follow.
If you want to carry out this mass deportation and you want to start it on day one, just about a little over a month from now, but you don't have a target number in mind, how does that, can you explain how that works to me?
I've already discussed, we got over 700,000 illegal aliens in this country with a criminal conviction. They're priority one. These criminal gangs like Tren de Agua and MS-13, they're a priority. National security threats, they're a priority.
He explained that the operation would target the worst of the worst, based on the resources they have.
So the goal is for ICE officers and other agencies who's going to assist them to arrest as many targeted priority aliens as possible. Here's the problem, though. In sanctuary cities, we can't arrest a criminal in the jail because they won't let us in the jail. So that forces us to go to the neighborhood, which means instead of one agent arresting a bad guy in the jail, we got to send a whole team to the neighborhood. And what happens there? We're going to find others that are non-priority criminals.
He has a point. This strategy leads to more people getting caught up in the enforcement process, even if they're not the main targets.
That 700,000 number, are you confident that you'll be able to deport all of those people?
That's my goal.
But are you confident you'll be able to complete that goal?
I'm confident in the men and women of ICE. They're very good at this, and we're going to arrest as many criminals and gang members as we can find. If we can't find them tomorrow, we'll find them the next day.
He also gave advice to the immigrants living in the country illegally.
And we'll continue our focus on those with public safety threats, national security threats, then fugitives, then the rest of the people who are not off the table. If you're in the country legally, you got a problem. And I would ask people, if you're in the country legally, you don't have a deportation order yet, then leave voluntarily, because if we have to be forced to issue a deportation, the court actually gives a deportation order, and we have to formally remove you, that puts a bar, a 5 to 20-year bar. You can't re-enter the country.
What do you think about Trump's plans for illegal immigrants? Let us know in the comments section below.